I'm just trying to get my client some money. There's some nefarious things going on behind the scenes. Whether or not Nick provided the actual information in regards to his employer, whether or not he had a deal with the employer not to
Sure.
pay. We did not file a response. I was
Okay.
just retained. I
Okay.
did.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. No problem. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we are here in the matter of Jameson versus Busuk, case number 23-06095 DM. So this is your motion. What is going on with your income?
So actually changed jobs. I switched from another tree company that is
But
basically doing,
you're still doing tree work, correct?
yes, yes, sir.
Why did you switch the jobs?
The winter work slowed and it looked like he was going to go out of business, so I took up other opportunities.
And it's a little bit less pay, but not much less pay, correct?
Yeah, it's $3 less an hour.
Um, Ms. Myers, any input on this? I mean, I've always had problems with lawn services because they do go in and out of business, and sometimes if you see the handwriting on the wall, normally if somebody leaves their job through no fault of their own, or through fault of their own, I kind of hold them to the old income. The problem is this is not one of those jobs that is continuous or steady for the most part, at least in my experience. So
It's my understanding that he voluntarily,
I understand, yeah,
yeah,
voluntarily, but if he's got evidence that possibly he was, he wasn't getting any work, that doesn't help.
no, that's not the case. Actually, he just moved on to a different job. The company
Right.
that he worked for is still in business. It's been in business for quite a while. So it was more an issue of he recently got called into court because he's 10 grand or whatever behind,
Right.
and now he all of a sudden has a
Well,
new job.
considering if you're saying that he was steady there and he's 10 grand in behind, my question would be this, because we take the money from the employer, not from the parties, which means if there's a steady income, why would there be an arrearage?
It's my understanding that there was an issue with the income withholding order, and
Okay.
my client did bring it to the attention, but just so the court also is aware, Mr. Jameson has been very vocal about the fact that my client would not get money. And there were some
Well,
discussions between him and the employer.
right. Okay.
I never, and I haven't seen
Yeah.
an income withholding order at all, even go out to it.
You won't. The income withholding orders go only to the employer because of
Right,
because of the information contained within them. It's kind
right.
of personal, and that's why the court never sees an income withholding order either.
So,
We don't need it. This was just
I'm
recently entered. That's why I'm trying to. Well, actually, it's been almost 2 years, correct?
correct. 2023. When was your? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
2023. It
yeah.
was it was fall of 2023. Sir, how long did you work at that place?
I would say about 3 years. And in January, he told us that we were going to be laid off until March. And that's when I looked for another job.
Do you have that in writing?
Yeah, I can probably find a text from.
Then I will need to see that.
Yes, sir.
And it's going to hinge on, because if he was told that they were going to be closing down for 3 months, that would give him no income, ma'am, and searching for another job would have been appropriate. But like I said, that's why my first question is, what's going on with your job?
Yes, sir.
So I expect you to get to me. And Ms. Myers, have you been on this case before?
I have, Your Honor.
Yeah, you
I
have.
represented-
So,
yeah.
sir, you have her contact information. I suggest you get her a copy of that text.
Will
We're
do.
going to set this for a settlement conference in the next 2 weeks to determine, that way I can look at it, Ms. Myers can look at it, we can sit down, and if there's a justification here, I'm willing to give some leeway. Because let's face it, in another 12 months, he can probably ask for a child support review one way or the other. But the idea is to make sure that we get that money flowing. So bottom line, sir, regardless, you need to contact the front of the court with your job change to inform them where to send the new income withholding order to, so you don't become more and more in arrears.
Sir, and
Yeah.
This week we did put in a withholding.
Okay. To your new
So
employer?
yes, sir. The first withholding came out this week.
Good. In that case, then the money should start flowing, Ms. Myers, and then we'll find out if it's appropriate to adjust. Because I also had a question as to, I believe she was held at 0 income. Why was that? Is your client
Actually, I think
disabled?
she was imputed. She provides all the childcare, Your Honor, so
Okay.
that Mr. Jameson, it's the way that their marriage was set up as well, so that Mr. Jameson can work.
Right.
So he can work anytime he wants, which is why I was also going to bring up the fact that he works significant amount of overtime as well.
Understood.
So yeah, so there's no
That's
childcare.
why I'm questioning this. I'm not making this an automatic.
Right, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, no, she was held at 0 income. That's
And
also
I think it's because the decision was either 0 income and then we do something with childcare or we impute her. Because if she goes to work, obviously childcare is going to be much more expensive. They have 4 children, 4 young children.
understood, but looks like this was part of the agreement of the parties back then. Alrighty.
It was.
But I will look at this because neither party may like what's going to happen at the new review because they changed the guidelines again, so that it might not work for either party, and I'd rather not hurt either party either. But
There's
I
one
also
more
want to get
thing.
it. I also want to get it correct because let's face it. Like I said, when we find it incorrect, we find it imbalanced, and then nobody gets any money. It just winds up chasing tails, and that's not worth it. So, what's your question, Miss Myers?
One other thing. So we're going to come before the court in September because my client is currently pregnant and due. So there would be a change in September, either way.
Oh, okay. So it may be that we have to look at it now because of his change, if it's an appropriate change, and we'll have to look at it again in September when there is another change. Okay. But her birth, if she's held at 0 income, ain't gonna change anything. So unless you want her imputed and that income then offset by her new child, that's fine. But if she's at 0 and stays at 0, birth of a new child won't change the mathematics here.
Right.
You have to have income to deduct from. And since the party set this up at her at 0, you don't have a change of circumstance from that one.
Yeah,
You could ask for it, but be careful again what you ask for.
Right. I'm just trying to get my client some money because there is such a huge arrearage. I think there might actually be a warrant too that might be.
That's why I'm warning him, and that's why I'm going to look at this a little bit more closely to make sure that we get it right.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, that's what we find out. That happens if you set child support incorrectly. Now, again, why there's been a kind of continuous employer up till a couple months ago, $10,000 should not have happened that easily. Is it that there was a back order to it too? No? Okay.
He just wasn't paying, and again,
he doesn't pay. Income withholding orders pay. That's why I asked him. He's been employed there since before the inception of this. There should have never been an arrears, so something happened with a paperwork screw up somewhere.
I understand, but I think there's some nefarious things going on behind the scenes. Whether or not Nick provided the actual information in regards to his employer, whether or not he had a deal with the employer not to pay, and my client
the employer would not like that because there is case law out of Kent County where they took an employer to task. The employer not only had to regurgitate all the funds, the employer had to pay fines, penalties. And it was Fifth Third, and it was not pretty. We're talking into the millions.
Right. And my client did contact her worker to try and sort that out. It's just never been sorted out.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can sort it out better this time.
Perfect.
And hopefully we've got an income. Well, hopefully we'll know if there's an income withholding order in place, and then she's getting her money from the new employer. And this job, Mr. Jameson, is continuous now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Myers?
There was supposed to be, last time the parties were in court only a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, February, 2 months now. Mr. Jameson had indicated that he had filed his tax return. So had told the court at that time on the show cause that there would be money forthcoming in that regard. It's my understanding that he's withholding filing his return.
Well, that's between him and the federal government. That also has consequences and penalties. So, yeah, normally if there's an arrearage, if it's my understanding, the IRS sends out the letters in August to prepare for the end of the year, and then they set up the confiscation of any type of tax return. So we'll see what happens.
Can I ask?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. Jamerson.
So I had texted her telling her that I had filed my taxes, which I did. And then she told me that she had claimed the other two, which I don't really know how taxes work. So I was assuming that she got the money for the two per the court agreement.
I don't know.
So, and the only reason I go through
if you're following, that doesn't go against your child support. That's her taxes, just as your taxes are your taxes. Okay. All right. So we'll see each other again shortly. My clerk will be contacting you to set up a short, quick, and I suggest you get that any type of paperwork to Ms. Myers and myself so that we may have it to review for the settlement conference, sir. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, everybody.